Hello. Ooh. Please excuse that. My goodness. That was like the episode a few months ago where I didn't have a voice and I was like, hello, welcome to. Which I guess it's not that weird for me to have an annoying voice. Like it is what I have. It was just like a different brand of annoying that particular day. But we're going to focus on the future. So welcome back to the Nobody Asked for This podcast. Episode number 34, 33, something. We made it to February. We've never had an episode in February. How exciting. I think when you're hearing this, it'll be February 2nd, Thursday, February 2nd. 2. Oh, how, yeah, 2 out of 2. There you go. So yes, as I said, I hope everyone has had a good week. Thank you once again for joining me. Again, let's just get this out at the top. I know no one listens to this. If you stumble upon this and think, why does this loser talk to his microphone / iPhone voice notes app as if anyone cares? I know that no one does. I'm more so pretending that people care in the pursuit of people caring. So like maybe if one day people care and they go back, it's not just like, like I want to be ready for people to listen to this. So I want it to be presentable. And they probably never will, and that's totally fine. But if they do, hey, are they in for a show? You know what I'm saying? But for anyone who is new or is listening to this episode as their first episode of the Nobody Asked for This podcast, I don't normally talk about, current events. Again, for the same reason of nobody listens to this. So if in 5 years I take off and become, head of podcasting and I'm, having to choose between all these $1 million deals that people are throwing at me, I don't want everyone to look back and listen to a bunch of episodes about me talking about the news from, May 2022. And we're going to be in like February 2028. So I've stuck to less current events and more, more timeless topics such as my gut flora, my burping habits, my food preferences. We do a snack graveyard segment here where we talk about, discontinued foods, and that's all. That's going to be timeless. Those foods will probably always be discontinued. Although we have enacted some change. I swear, the day we talked about the Ritz s'mores, I don't know if anyone remembers, but the little sandwich crackers, they still have the cheese ones and the peanut butter ones, but they used to have a s'more version. The day I clicked submit on that episode, like the following Tuesday, they announced that they were coming back in a limited batch, and you had to like apply to get them. They did not send me some, which is a huge mistake on their end, but regardless, I was happy that I felt like we made some change here at the Nobody Asked for This podcast. But yes, we normally stick to those, again, timeless subject matters as opposed to something timely. But we're gonna switch it up. We've switched it up for royalty before. And really, with this next topic that I'm going to talk about, we're continuing in the royal trend. And that is that as I was on my way home yesterday, I opened my phone, as I always do, and I can't remember if it was just like a website, or just like, when you go on like some internet browsers and there's just kind of like stories. I think it was one of those. And I got news that I had been dreading for years. Now, I have to say, if this news had hit me maybe a couple years before, it would have been an even more dramatic reaction than the dramatic reaction I am drawing out right now on the Nobody Asked for This podcast. And I'm proud I have an outlet to process this now. But it still means something now. And that is that Dr. Phil's show is ending. Now, first I read the headline as Dr. Phil has ended, and I just thought, is this a death announcement? Like, I wasn't sure what they were telling me, but because it didn't say, like, the Dr. Phil show is ending. It just said, Dr. Phil ended. And I was like, what? And I was kind of surprised that they didn't send it through as, anyone who has an iPhone, you get those annoying news alerts. or at least I do. I don't know, maybe everyone else has figured out how to unsubscribe for them and I just haven't. But it's that like red like news app that just pops up and tells you news. Like you think someone texted you and it's just like the oil crisis. And I'm sure a lot of it is important information. I don't always understand a lot of it, but every once in a while you get like if something big happens, like if someone dies, like the end of last year when for whatever reason any like older successful person that had ever lived had ceased doing so, rest in peace. Like it was a lot of like random alerts. So-and-so dead at, 80 something. So-and-so dead at 90 something. We celebrate them. And obviously it's sad regardless. But again, it was a lot of like established people who had lived long lives and, had lived, goal-like years, in the 90s. Again, rest in peace. But my point in saying this is I was surprised, like, oh my gosh, Dr. Phil died and they didn't send an Apple News alert? How weird. Then I realized that, Dr. Phil, the show, is ending. And it's terrible. It has been a terrible couple years, or really like 6 months, for the monarchy. Like any long reigning queen is falling, and Dr. Phil's joining that lineup. But I just have to say, and I make this disclaimer anytime we talk about the royal family, I'm sure Dr. Phil has done dreadful things. This is not a defense of Dr. Phil. This is not like I haven't done the proper research to know for sure whether or not he is like a good one, like a good guy, or if he's like done. Because randomly, I feel like anytime I Wikipedia people, like I find out that they were like involved in some like awful like manslaughter case in 2006. Like multiple times this has happened. I'm not going to say any names, but like I'll Google it and it's like, yeah, they involuntarily killed someone. Like what? Huh? So again, this is not, I haven't done a thorough background check. I haven't ran his social security number yet through the systems. So this is, again, if he's done horrible things, this is not me, condoning it. It's just commentary. But yeah, the Dr. Phil show has ended. Now my journey with the Dr. Phil show, my sister was a big Dr. Phil fan, so I immediately called her and I was like, I need you to sit down and I need you to hear this from me. And she was fine. But we would watch that show all the time. More her than me, but I would join because I was just like, didn't really have much else going on. But the thing about the Dr. Phil show is it was quite a weird format because if you think about it, people would go on, because it wasn't a talk show, like it wasn't like famous people were going on. They would just bring on, people that were maybe struggling. A lot of the times it was like, almost like Judge Judy, but more casual. Like it would be like a mom would come on and talk about how, her daughter is like so out of control. And then you'd bring the out of control daughter. And there was always like clips of them at home. Like somehow they got like live footage of them fighting. Not really sure how that worked, but okay, sure, we'll go with it. And yeah, it was like troubled individuals seeking help. Now, I questioned Dr. Phil's medical background because I've heard, someone once told me, I can't remember who it was, that he is a doctor, but his degree is in like geography, which like I don't exactly know how that works, but sure. But I've Googled it and I'm pretty sure he has an actual psychology degree. Now, if you really wanted to help people, I feel like bringing people who already are troubled, are in not ideal situations, bringing them on TV and exploiting their story isn't exactly the way to do that. And also, for anyone who doesn't know, the format of the show is basically, it looks like a talk show. Like it's like the same set as a talk show, but the people he's bringing on, like the guests, are people who are struggling. And I just have to think, like, if you really wanted to help people, how is this helping? Because he would try and give them advice and they would like start fighting, not full Jerry Springer, like bodyguards and stuff, but they would just start like doing like a verbal back and forth. And they never really reached any resolution. And the advice he would give, not to toot my own horn, is like stuff that I think I would say. And I don't know if it's like chicken or the egg, like if I've watched enough Dr. Phil to know what he's going to say, or I'm actually just a genius by nature. I do have a psychology degree, but I have to say, I don't know that I learned anything. in school. Like, I was reflecting, we'll get back to Dr. Phil, but I was reflecting on that the other day. I'm like, I don't know that I actually, like, learned. Like, I think I am not the dumbest person. I'm definitely not the smartest person. I'm not the dumbest person, but, like, I don't know that I can attribute that to at least my university education. Like, I don't know what I learned. Besides, like, random theories that I forgot 20 minutes after I took the test. But anyway, back to Dr. Phil. All he would do is tell the person who is on Dr. Phil because they have problems, he would say, yeah, you need to get some help. Well, duh. Like, if they didn't need help, why would they be there? And then, at the end, after they've done the 40-minute back and forth with commercials, he would just point to an expert in the audience and be like, well, I know someone down at, whatever farms, and they're going to send you there on a retreat, and then you're going to get the help that you need. And it's like, well, couldn't they just go there in the beginning? Like, why did we need to do that? Like, what was necessary about us finding out that, Stephanie's mom, goes down in their basement with her teen daughter and their friends and, like, smokes weed and doesn't understand why that's wrong? Why did America have to know that? And really Canada. I'm sure it's, like, popular overseas. Like, why did the world have to be involved in this? So that Stephanie's mom can go to rehab, as she should. And, like, he pays for it and it's great, but it's almost like this weird trade-off where in order to get the free help from Dr. Phil, you have to, like, give him a 40-minute show of all your problems. And again, I just don't know who that was helping. But regardless, maybe there's a reason, also the best part of Dr. Phil, I have to say, is not Dr. Phil. It's actually his wife, Robin, who sits up at the front, the best gig ever. She sits up at the front and just, like, every once in a while, like, if she really has something to say, she'll, like, put her hand up and he'll be like, yes, Robin, come on. What do you have to say about this? And she'll give her piece, and there's a couple clips on YouTube. You can look at it. Like, just Google Robin, Dr. Phil into YouTube. Search it, not Google. And there's like a couple clips of her, like, screaming at people, being like, you are wrong. You're wrong because of this. And then always at the end, they usually try, because you noticed I said they do a 40-minute back and forth and the show's an hour. They usually try and save the last, like, 10-ish minutes with commercials to send you off on a high note. So they'll do, like, a weight loss journey, or they'll bring on somebody who's, like, had really bad acne. Like, it's quite a jarring turn from, like, where we started to where we were. It'll be like, okay, Stephanie, I hope you have, good luck in your journey and trying to get clean, and, good luck, bye. Or, like, I hope you, have fun at this discipline camp in Utah, and, good luck. Make sure to write. And then you get a commercial break. And then it's like, well, I'm here with Bridget, who has struggled with acne her entire life. And then you're thinking, and then they, again, go to the clips of, like, Bridget at home, like, putting on her skincare, whatever. And she's, like, talking about how it affected her life. And then you're like, why is she talking about this? Until you realize that this has all been a commercial for his wife Robin's skincare line. And then the pieces start coming together. So yeah, like I said, they usually try and send you off on a high. And then the theme music plays. It's like do 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 do. And Robin and Dr. Phil, like, walk off together. Like, she's just like, she gets up and's like, okay, let's leave. Like, we're out of here. Again, not a bad gig. Gets to sit at the front row, gets to, involve herself where she sees fit, but, like, no pressure to. And she gets to walk off and wave like the queen. And she gets an advertisement for her skincare. And then I think she started doing a podcast, so she would advertise that. Like, it was like the last chunk. It was like Robin's 10-minute segment of, like, whatever she had to plug that day. Beautiful. Perfect. I actually feel bad for her. She's going to be like, her sales, I think it's called, like, Robin's Revelation or something. Her sales are going to plummet. I'm sorry. And to be fair, she was kind of a trailblazer. I mean, most celebrity skincare things started, like, a couple years ago. Like, now everyone has one. But she was doing this like 10 years ago. So I don't know. I don't know who she knows. I don't know where Robin's revelation started, but she was onto something. And then just one more thing about Dr. Phil. The problem with it is people started going on to be famous. Obviously, everyone knows the Catch Me Outside girl. And I think that was like it was the beginning and the end for Dr. Phil. It was the beginning because I think it kind of gave him a couple more seasons, because really he had kind of fallen off a little bit. No offense to him, but like I don't think the ratings were what they were. And then she came on and started like picking fights with the audience members, which again I don't know what help she received from that experience. But what she did receive was like millions of Instagram followers, and that was really the death of Dr. Phil, because then people just started coming on. It almost became a bit like Maury, where it's like kind of fake, and they're like doing DNA tests. Like it was not the show that we started watching. Like it almost felt like two friends would team up and be like, okay, let's pretend we're in a fight. We're gonna record live footage, which again, I don't know how they're getting footage, like flashback footage of the fight when it's like not a scripted show. But okay, I'll just believe it. Sometimes thinking really just doesn't do much for these shows. Like you kind of have to go in a little bit, a couple levels lower on the intelligence scale than you might naturally be, which for me is not hard to get to, but everyone has their own journey. But yeah, I feel like people would just kind of stage their fights so that they could get on Dr. Phil. And really, I don't really know how, like, Dr. Phil, I feel like I'm the only person not in an old folks home that watches Dr. Phil. Well, me and my sister. So like I don't know how that was translating to Instagram followers, but I guess it was. Also, the best part about Dr. Phil are the episode titles. It'll be like in the DVR, which we would record it. It would be like, help, my teenage daughter thinks that if she drops out of school, she can become an influencer, but really she's just smoking weed in her bedroom all day. What do I do? Like, that's the full episode title. I hope it won an Emmy. And it could be like, the Emmy goes to Dr. Phil, help, my daughter wants to run away and join a cult, but I'm trying to stop her, but I can't because I also think that I want to join a cult, but I don't want to join the same cult as her, so I don't know what cult we to join, and we're fighting, and she stole my car, stole my money, and pushed me into a wall. Dr. Phil. Yeah, so that was just and I don't think it's ending like tomorrow, which is nice. The thing with these talk shows is they announce it so far in advance that like once I hear that it's ending, like I think it's gone. But then like 6 months from now, they'll be like, and the final episode of Dr. Phil is airing this day. I'm like, isn't it over? Like I'm pretty good at just like moving on. Like I shut a door and just push onward, which, you know, sometimes you got to do these days. But yeah, just Dr. Phil, again, I just want to say I'm sure he's done terrible things. This is not me. I'm not condoning his behavior. But Dr. Phil, for what you've given me some laughs. I don't think that was the point. Like, I don't think it was supposed to be a funny show. And I actually feel bad for finding it as such. But, yeah, just memories of, you know, skipping school. It was really the only thing on. You didn't really have much of a choice. That was really the alarming, jarring realization that you got when you skipped school. Like, before, like, streaming stuff where you could just pick whatever you want. Like, when you would go on the TV and try and find, like, your shows that you would watch after school and realize that they don't come on during the day. Like, you're literally, like you could watch PBS where it's, like, cartoons for 3-year-olds or, like, Dr. Phil. Like, there was no middle ground. And I remember thinking, like, why don't they have programming for, you know, like, 10-year-olds during the day? And then I realized it was because you're supposed to be at school. But, like, what if you had your science project due that day, but then you didn't finish it, so you had to fake sick, and then you wanted to also be entertained while procrastinating doing said science project? Like, where is the channel for that demographic? Because again, I would be like, I'm sick, and then stay home every once in a while, and then I would go on TV, and there's just nothing to watch. So I was stuck watching like Oprah, and Dr. Phil. Which I don't know if that added to my life or subtracted. I'm not sure. Also, one more thing. Speaking of a science project that you didn't do and then just skip school, I do feel bad for the kids. The trade, I think. Like, they can have their Netflix, they can have their, on-demand television, whatever. You don't have to watch either 3-year-old shows or 60-year-old or 50-year-old shows. Fine, have that. Bask in the glory of that. But nowadays, back in my day, but nowadays, if you forget your homework or you don't want to do it that day and you want to get an extension, you can't just stay home because everything's online. I'm sure I've talked about this before, but your computer still works. You can't say, sorry, my computer's sick. I couldn't submit my, spelling homework. Terrible. I'm going to take what we had, having to watch PBS, over not getting the excuse of I can't do my homework. I think this is good. I think we're healing with that. I really let something go there. Let it go. Something I will not be able to let go is the horror I just faced. I was in need of a refreshment. I was a little bit parched in the folds. And I thought, you know what? Let me go get a pop. A fountain soda, however you call it. So I walk into the convenience store. I won't name any names. It was a convenience store. And I go and grab a cup, and I'm like, okay, there's dust in this cup, so maybe we're going to get the one behind it. I usually, in a post-COVID world, get the one behind it. I very lightly touch the bottom of the cup. I pull it out of the pile, get the second one, and then put the other one back. I'm not weird and touch the inside of the cup. It's just, I've just touched the bottom. I don't know. There's probably really no scientific reason as to why the second cup would be cleaner. I just feel better doing that. And there was a little speck of dust. I'm like, okay, beggars can't be choosers. So I got a little bit, I clicked the water button on the soda machine, swirled it around, and then dumped it into the fountain. It was a very, very, very little bit. We're all fine. And then, I was screwed over twice. I forgot about this middle part of the story. And then I go to get a Diet Coke, obviously, and they're out. It was one of those fancy, the Coke machines where you can pick the flavor, it's 10 different types of pop. Honestly, I think maybe 15 or 20 types of pop, and then there's within each pop there's sections you can pick the flavor. I was so excited. I was like, what a treat. They're out of Diet Coke. I said, okay, I'll just get Coke Zero. They're out of Coke Zero. So I had to get I guess I didn't have to, but I was like, okay, I'll just get a sparkling water. It was a lemon lime sparkling water. They still had some of the flavor. So I was like, okay, this is not a complete bust. I fill it up with ice, obviously, because you get the bigger size, and then you fill it up with ice, and then you get the drink. And this is so at the gas stations, it's literally $1. So cheap. I always loved the McDonald's dollar drink days, but really you can get it year round at a convenience store. And this is something I'm just realizing. So I fill up my sparkling water, pay for it. But as I get up to the register, I see they have a mini fridge of Diet Coke, and I'm like, you know what? I'll just get a small bottle. Perfect. We all win. This is an important part of the story later on. So I pay for it. I'm like, okay, I'm leaving. And I go to put my paper straw, because we like the environment, my paper straw into my into my sparkling water. What could have been a Diet Coke? And there's specks in the ice. So I don't know if the ice machine was busted and flaking stuff out or what, and then I thought maybe it was just a reflection of the cup. No, there's fully dark specks in the ice. So I'm definitely not drinking that. I feel bad, but I'm not drinking that, I don't think. I'm pretty sure I'm not. So I was like, you know what? No biggie. Thank goodness, my intuition told me to get the little Diet Coke, so now I have at least something to say for this experience. I put the straw in the Diet Coke again, because I picked it up, and again, paper straw. I put my paper straw in the Diet Coke plastic bottle, I turn away for a second. I look back, and it's like exploding like a science experiment you did in grade 3. Like, you know, you'd put the Mentos in the Coke, and then it would go, psh. It was doing that. But I didn't put Mentos, I put a paper straw. So I don't know how science works. I don't know if a paper straw, like, then I was thinking, what is on this straw to make the Diet Coke explode, like go nuts? Like, was there something that is there like a chemical on it? Like, is it supposed to be there? Is it not supposed to be there? Should I not drink it now? But at this point, like, I've already wasted one beverage. Like, beggars can't be choosers. So I have drank that. I cleaned it up, and then I did drink the Diet Coke. So far, I think we're fine. And I did Google it, and some nice person on Reddit had written a response like 3 years ago. Because any question I have, someone asked on Reddit 3 years ago. I used to say any question I have, someone asked it on Yahoo Answers in 2011. But it's not, they shut down Yahoo Answers. Does anyone remember Yahoo Answers? It was the best. Anytime you had like a homework question, I swear, I would type in word for word, like questions on like a worksheet that I had to do in elementary school. And someone had asked that exact question in like 2003 on Yahoo Answers. So really, I haven't had to think for myself much at all. Which I think explains a lot. But regardless, if anyone would like a speckled, you can see, you can hear it, speckled ice lemon lime sparkling water, it's yours to take. I'll put an auction up on eBay immediately. So yeah, that was kind of, it was stress-inducing. Speaking of stress-inducing, I like to consider myself a pretty calm person. I know it doesn't sound like that, but like, I think I like to get my energy out on small problems, such as, you know, flaking ice machines, so that when the big problems come, I'm ready to just get to the solution. But yesterday, to be exact, I was going to say the other day, but it was precisely yesterday. I was doing a nice walk, you know, trying to get my steps in. I hit the little button to cross the street. It's my turn. I'm like, okay, let's walk. And it was a very unique crosswalk, because it was quite a long stretch of road that I had to pass, and it was like pavement, and then there was like a break in the road where you were walking on like a sidewalk, like full cement, and then more pavement. And I'm not the fastest walker. I'm not a slow walker, but like it was a brisk walk. Like, I wasn't in a rush. I was just taking a nice stroll. And I step out onto like the first stretch, and I'm walking, and I look, and you know how they have at crosswalks like the little sign or the little screen thing, and it's either a walking person or like the walking sign, or the hand with the timer. The timer comes up, and I have like 19 seconds. And panic sets in because I haven't even made it to the sidewalk intermission of this crosswalk. So I'm like I go from like my lovely brisk walk where I'm like making sure my Fitbit is like counting my steps, to like I have to start jogging. And if there's one thing I have to tell you about me, is I don't run. Only the wicked run when not being chased. No one was chasing me, so I had no reason to run. Until I saw that I now had 15 seconds. Because this always, I froze. When I saw the amount of time I had, I froze. Which is not conducive to being fast. So I'm having like some sort of a panic in the middle of the street, that I now have to get from one side to the other in like 12 seconds. And I, again, have not made it to the pavement intermission. And, you know, long story short, I don't want to spoil anything, but I did make it there in the end. But I was like, I was panicked. And I for a second, I was like, wow, that was stressful. And I made a vow in that moment that if ever given the choice to walk or drive, I will never choose to walk again. Now, this does kind of unfortunately go against my use of a plastic straw, because walking is obviously better for the environment. As is a paper straw over a plastic straw. But I mean, I just at this point, like I can't deal with that. I can't deal with the counting down. It's never been a problem before. But I'm scarred. Maybe I will try it again one day. But I was not, like, I think being forced to run is like the worst thing that can happen to me. And that's what happened. So I'm going to leave us on that. I normally, like Dr. Phil, try and leave us on an upper. So yes, anyone who's in need of a new skincare routine, please go to Robin Revelation or Rejuvenation or something. Just type in Dr. Phil Robin makeup line. I'm sure it'll come up. I mean, you could probably get it on a discount now. I think it's like about 10 years old. It's probably expired, but you can try. And yeah, thank you so much for joining. I hope you have a great week. As I always say, speaking into the void, you can find us pretty much anywhere you can find a podcast. Basically, like not like some of the, like not where the fancy podcasts are, but like we're on Spotify. It's pretty cool. We're on Apple. We are on something else. I think Amazon. I think if you told your Amazon, or what's her name? Alexa. If you told your Alexa to play the Nobody Asked for This podcast, I think there's like probably 10 that it would play before it got to us, but on that 11th try, you're home free. Where else are we on? Where you can find us is at podcastnobodyaskforthis.podbean.com. That's Podbean, Podbean. I had nothing to do with the name of that. That is just the service that we use. So do not judge me. You can judge Podbean. Like, I'm not really sure how that happened. Like, I just can't remember a certain name, but whatever. We thank them regardless. And yeah, this is what I have for you this week. Sometimes it's better than others. Last week was not great. I'll be like 100% honest. We might have to delete that one from the feed. Feeling better about this one. So if you're listening to this, maybe like, and you're going to work backwards, maybe skip the last week's episode and just go to 2 weeks ago. That one I'm sure was great. I cannot remember it, but that one was good. So yeah, I hope you have a great week. I really thank you for listening, to all 3 of you that did. And we will see you next week. Bye.